welcome to the Ascertainers, episode 25, which is like I hope it's there's the golden anniversary and I hope this is wood. I think that's one. Wow. But I think diamond is something good, like vacuum cleaner or something else. I am Jim. I am Mark's sidekick. Mark is the pioneer, the originator, the vision. He is the alpha, the omega. He is Mark.
Well, thank you for that introduction. I'm Mark.
Mark hates that every time we're in public, somebody will come to me and go, "Oh, you're in that podcast, right?" And then they won't say anything to Mark. But and I go, "Yeah, I don't know who this effing guy is." But he and I are seen in public occasionally, just having dinner together. Nothing to see here, kids. We're both very happily. Well, we're both married. I'm kidding. I'm happily married. Are you happily married?
I am.
Your wife was pretty unhappy earlier today.
Yes.
What happened? You want to fill the peeps
She was
in on
being thankfully our Uber driver tonight, and we were at the Newts, where again we ran into someone we know.
Right. And it's just Newts. It's not the Newts.
Oh.
In case you're Googling it, it's just Newts. So
it's like the Ascertainers.
Tonight was a pretty slim pickings. We only had one person we knew, but normally we see at least a few. And who do we know? You want to shout him out? He seemed super disinterested in most people. And it's like, "Oh, you have a podcast. What's it called?" He's like, "You have a podcast." Fine, you know.
Oh, it was my new neighbor. Lives across the street, and we said hello.
He's not as cool as your old neighbors, though, is he? Oh, don't! I don't want to hear it.
I don't even know how to answer that.
It. I'm sure he's cooler than us because I'm not very cool. The reason I moved, or you moved, is because I'm.
Is that like one of those questions? Does this make me look fat?
No. The oddly placed horizontal stripes make you look fat, Mark. Anyway, awkward. Yeah, so you saw Mark's new neighbor. But then when we called for a ride, because last episode, 2 episodes ago, this is great. We could piece it together like a ransom note for your memory. That I was like, I think I put even in the notes of the podcast, or the episode notes, driving Mr. Daisy. Because on the way to golf one day, I'm like, I noticed that I always drive.
You do.
Do you have a license, Mark? But then he explained that he doesn't like to drive. And I'm like, well, you know what? I don't love driving. So anyway, tonight it was like, hey, we had a little debate on whether or not we should golf or not. And that was on the last episode, how I handled Mark handily. Or I don't know if we even finished that story, but it was...
We don't have to.
I'll get to that in a sec. But anyway, I said, I have to drive like 5 minutes north to go get Mark and then drive whatever. And I'm like, hey, how about you just, instead of me leaving early, why don't you just come pick me up at a certain time? And he's like, oh, I'll pick you up. And then he shows up 15 minutes early and it's him driving. I'm like, oh my.
Well, I showed up early because...
Usually he has his chauffeur drive him.
And
it's not because he's got like any legal issues or anything. He just
that you know of.
Well, I know you don't, but people are going to infer that might be the case.
But the only reason I showed up early is because we decided to play golf at the last second, and our tee time, I couldn't get the later tee time, so then I had to. We'll find out if this is.
I know it does. I don't know if the chewing of the ice will register, but this definitely does.
People are thinking, do I
have to sell this Rolls?
Is my cell phone going bad? Is my radio going bad?
Is my hearing aid going bad? I don't know. That's my glass. I decided I would drink water tonight with ice in it and lime and tequila. So Mark's wife wasn't happy with them because when I
texted her to come and pick us up. I was looking the whole time, and I thought
He
she'd
really was.
drive up to the front, but she parked way away from the entry door.
The nerve.
And then Jim is a loud talker. I didn't hear
Oh.
my phone
Oh,
ringing. And she finally called Jim, and he picks up right away.
I go,
that son of a...
you have to stop calling me at this number. Mark's right here. So, yeah.
So I'm in Dutch with the wife.
Yeah, Dutch. Is that bad, being in Dutch?
Yeah.
What about the Dutch?
I don't know.
What do
That's
you got against them?
an old saying.
Michael Caine, one of my favorite movie lines of all time. Michael Caine in Goldmember. Do you know what I'm talking about? He goes, if there's two things I can't stand, it's people who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch. That's just gold, baby. That's a good line.
Another line from Austin Powers. There's two things I'm afraid of. Nuclear war. What's the other? Carnies.
It's from... I remember the Carnies, but I don't remember the nuclear war thing.
Yeah, that's the first one.
Is that from Austin Powers?
Yeah, the first movie.
Okay, right.
Brought up because we were at the state fair and we were walking through the Midway.
All Carnies.
Yeah.
Carnies are probably making good dough these days. I mean, everybody is.
Yeah.
Except for the Dutch. So, you went to the state fair. Have we talked about that yet? I don't think we did. Or did we?
No, you're not a fair person, so I didn't bring it up.
I don't. You know, I don't like... Here's what I don't like about the fair. I don't like crowds. I don't like spending a lot of money. And I don't like food with dirt on it. Because that's really what the fair is. Think about it. Although I know one of the vendors there, one of the more popular vendors is Baba's Hummus, who are my friends from the Mediterranean Cruise Cafe. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get the fair. The reason I would have gone to the fair this year would have been to see Soul Asylum, which is one of my radio game picks, by the by. And we probably should get into the radio game. But anyway, I didn't go to the fair, and the last time I went to the fair was, I think, 2010 or 11, when Rush played there on the Time Machine tour.
Ooh.
And what's interesting is that Alex... Oh, I have a son named Alex, sorry. Also, hold on, I'll get to that. I got to get to our new theme music in a second. But Alex and I were there, and his soon-to-be wife and her dad were at the same show. And I think they knew each other, but I didn't know Jeff. I'm not going to Audie J him. He's just Jeff, because I don't think he listens. I don't think he cares for me, and I'm okay with that.
Well, most people don't, but I put up with it.
So the music that you heard, if you've listened to other episodes, it might sound a little bit different, and the reason is because it is, for the last two episodes, our original theme music, which was just done on like a computer by
digitally.
Digitally? Oh, I hate that word. It just sounds like it's
To bring back bad memories.
It does. Well, bad memories. No. So my youngest son, who plays some music in the Twin Cities, Audie A. We'll just call him. Well, he doesn't go by.
Well, you've said his name like 5 times already.
Have I?
Yes.
Did I say Alex? But he doesn't go by that. You know what he goes by? He goes by his last name. Like when I'm hanging out with like people that he knows, and I'll reference, oh yeah, Alex this, Alex that. They're like, fuck is Alex? It's like, oh yeah, that's his first name. Yeah, he just goes by his last name, which we can't really disclose here because that could be devastating for me.
Well, I hope I don't have to edit any of that out because it would take me.
Which part?
Years. His name.
Oh, his first name was Alex. Big Al, I call him.
Yeah. You established that because you've said it 10 times.
I should be up to 12 by now, based on my latest count.
Oh, back to the music.
Yeah, so he and one of his guys that he plays music with, Audie P. Okay, it's Paul. Yeah, we're getting fast and loose with the first names, but if it's just first names, that's fine. Hey, Paul, shout out. What's up? A guy that he has known, he has this like network of people that he's either been in another band with or whatever, but for like, he's got like 11 years of contacts that he's made, and he has never, like whatever, that I know of he's never been between bands. I think he's always had at least a few things going. So if one falls off, you just put your energy into the other. It's pretty cool. Honestly, he didn't want to he didn't want to graduate high school, let alone go to college. And I was like, dude, I rented a tent for your grad party. Could you just help your dad out and graduate high school so we don't have to lose the deposit? And he was cool with that. And I said, in return, I will never ask you to go to college unless you want to. And he took me up on that. So he's doing great. I mean, he's doing what he wants to do. Doing great is a subjective term, but yeah, I'll have big news on him that I can share a little later. But yeah, it's all good. So I hope you like the warmer live version of the theme music. I tend to like it. I'm not sure if you'll be able to discern the ascertainers new music, but it's pretty cool, and we really appreciate him taking the time to do it. So
I think people will notice. It's noticeable.
Okay.
So, and I do love the live version of that.
Cool. What do you want to talk about, Mark? Did we even do a Newt's promo last time? Let's talk about. You throw something in, then we'll do a little Newt's promo. Because
Where we
have
haven't done the. We were going to go into the music of the radio game.
Radio game it is.
But let's do the Newts. Because we did not do anything, and there was a couple shout outs that. Yeah. And a thing where Jim really.
Yes.
I don't know how to mention that you thought you knew somebody.
I'll tell you, this is a good one. This is a real good one, Mark. Thanks for setting me up in such a positive way that you think it's going to be a bad thing. I'm going to say it's a good thing.
No, it's cute for you.
Newt has a new special. It's cute. Fucking goddamn it. All right, there's a new special. The old special, which was what I'll just call the big giant slider. It's called the Oklahoma something smash burger. If you go, Newt's, Apple Valley, Minnesota, get there. And as my friend Pat says, make sure they're open. Don't go when they're not open, because that'll frustrate you. Anyhow, the new special is called...
He's looking it up right now. That's why he's taking it.
It's the monthly feature. And by monthly, it could be on there for a few months. Sometimes they don't really. It's the Marvin's 2.0 burger. It says, we challenged ourselves to make the top-selling burger even better. Marvin's secret blend of seasonings with white cheddar cheese, pecan wood smoked bacon, and bourbon chipotle mayo on a toasted potato bun. What? I didn't see that potato bun part.
Is that like Lefse bread?
It's going to be hard as shit. I wonder if it's potato flour. Or is it just potatoes?
Well, isn't Lefse's potato bread?
It is. Hey. I got a Norwegian upstairs that might come down here and hammer you with their...
Who makes excellent Lefse bread.
You've had her Lefse?
Oh, she brings it over every year.
Yeah. Well, spoiler alert, she sometimes uses instant potatoes.
Hey, it still tastes.
You know what Lefse is? It's like shitty tortillas. Is all it is in my world.
It's like tortillas. You don't have.
Have you ever? If you put butter and sugar on a tank top and you just get through the cotton fibers, it's the same thing.
See, I don't do that. My mother always puts butter and sugar on it, but I don't.
You call your mom mother?
Mother.
Do you? Not like, hey, mother. Do you do that?
Mama.
Well, that's equally creepy. I just go, I go, ma, mom. Oh, I almost said her name. I don't call her by her first name. That would be bad. Unless she's really acting up. But we both got moms. We're lucky. A lot of guys our age don't have moms anymore. So shout out moms.
There you go.
I'm going to see my mom tomorrow morning, and that's why I'm trying to moderate, because I was 2 episodes ago after we recorded, and when we had stuff on Facebook, and she started commenting on our podcast website or Facebook page. I'd be like, Mom, hold up, pump the brakes. And that's when she told me that I got Jocko's name wrong. And, yeah, she's not a fan of me imbibing generally. So I have to, whatever. Fuck, how do we get on this?
Jim's mom, I'm sorry. I'm not.
You met my mom, I met your mom. We both have pretty good moms. Oh,
We do.
Awesome moms. What am I saying?
But I'm not his bad influence. He's my bad influence.
Okay.
See?
Oh, Mark, Jesus. What's going on over there?
Okay, I don't know where we are.
Radio game. Did we do it yet?
Do a shout out to the
Oh, we're
server.
still on Newt's? Yeah, so
Yeah,
I think we referenced this, I think this episode, or last one, probably every episode, where people will tend to, a couple weeks ago, the missus and I were at Newt's. We sometimes go outside of my ascertainer's duties. And she's kind of like a kind of a food runner, whatever, bar back, kind of a nice little person. They got a bunch of those. And she's short. But she goes, "Hey, you the podcast guy?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, it's all me. What's your..." Anyway, I didn't get her name then. But tonight, I'm like, "Hey, I want to give you a shout out on this podcast. What's your name? And tell me something about yourself." And she said her name is Evie. And she goes, "I'm going to have to think about it." And she walked about 4 steps to the left. And then she came right back and said, "I've worked here over half a decade." And I'm like, "Oh, well, that means you're probably from Rochester." And she was from Rochester. And I said, "I, too, am from Rochester. And I went to John Marshall High School." And she goes, "My dad went to John Marshall High School." And I'm like, "I bet I'm older than him, but what's his name?" And she said his name. And I'm like, "Does he have a brother named Dave?" And she said, "He does." And I'm like, "I know your brother." Sorry, I know your dad. And his brother was my goalie in youth hockey in Rochester. And it's like, wow, that's crazy. And it turns out that not only was I spelling this person's first name wrong, I was spelling this person's last name wrong. This was not a
completely different person.
Like in every way, shape, and form. But she's so nice. Evie is her name. She's going to be a huge success in whatever she decides to do, because she's a hard-working person with a tremendous personality. So that's my Newt's shout out.
But we do have to let her know that it won't be last episode she got a shout out. It's the next one. So.
I hope she's not like waiting.
Most people are, because if you get on the ascertainers, you've made it.
Wasn't it great when your neighbor came up to us and I go, "Oh yeah, hey, you listen to the podcast?" He's like, "You have a podcast?" and Mark's like, "Yeah," and then he went. So anyway, he wanted nothing to do with the podcast. You want to give him a shout out because he sounds cool.
Well, we talked about it in the last episode.
Oh, we did?
We did, the whole thing.
All right.
Which
this is
you foreshadowed that would happen.
Yeah, I know. This is one of those nights where because Mark and I both have other stuff to do on Friday nights, so we have to sometimes record 2 in one night, and this is one of those nights. I don't want to dwell on it, but
we're busy people.
Sometimes we forget to say shit on the first episode that was recorded that night, and then we repeat. So we just can't get it right. Mark's drinking a beer. What kind of beer are you drinking there, Mark?
I'm drinking a really heavy Guinness type beer.
Yes, I see that.
It's a Coors Light.
Is that how you pronounce that? I thought it was a
Coors.
All right. So we have to do the radio game. Radio game. New and improved radio game where we will not tolerate commercials anymore. So this is going to go quick and easy. We have pre-selected a song. So we submit 4 songs or 4 bands each. And then we announce them, and we pop the headphones on. And in the past, sometimes there's a blankety-blank commercial on. There, how about that? And then we just keep listening through all the effing commercials. But we decided that we will, after declaring our bands this is, getting you behind the scene, behind the curtain. Nobody wants that.
No.
But in our pre-show preparation, we will declare our bands, and then we will have and I already forgot. Oh, no, I wrote it down. Yeah, and I think it was already said at the beginning of the episode.
I thought we already did the radio game, so I crossed out all my picks.
I'll tell you right now, buddy boy, you are a good editor. I'm pretty sure we haven't done the radio game.
I don't think we have, but we've been just rambling for 20 minutes now.
I know. Wow. Mark bought me a clock, too, and this is going to be a real game changer. These episodes will seem even longer. But all right, so for the radio game, we each pick two kind of like legacy rock acts, and then two that are, oh, fuck, I think we already did do this.
I don't think we have.
Oh, that was before the show. Yeah, we did do this, but it was before we started recording.
Right.
You got a good attitude, too. There's a big silence before I drop a Effenheimer. Anytime I want to edit out one of my Effenheimers, I'm totally on board with it, because I think my mom's starting to listen to these, and she is not going to approve of that. Ooh, the time's coming up, and it's almost my old house address in Rochester. 2312. Okay, my picks are for legacy bands, U2 and the Stones.
Mine are Aerosmith and the Eagles.
And then my long shots are local bands, Soul Asylum and the Replacements.
And for sticking with Minnesota, I did the Stray Cats, but Collective Soul has no association with it.
But the Stray Cats doesn't either, except that Brian Setzer now lives here, I guess?
I believe he does.
Okay.
Well, he married a girl like Billy Joe Armstrong. He married a girl from Minnesota.
You know who else did? Neil Schon.
Yes. Oh, I was going to
Oh,
say
yeah,
I
let's
ran
go.
into all three.
It's a song, and it's Neil Schon. It's Journey.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. Ever since we had got our backup plan to protect us from having to talk through commercials, we have not had to use the backup. Oh, one time we did.
Well, KQ called me.
Oh, did they?
And they said, we are sorry, but let us know when you're doing the podcast, and we'll make sure that we'll have a rock block.
Dude, you
during that
couldn't
time.
coordinate your wife picking us up from Newt. So I don't think that you're capable of whatever. So the band was Journey, so we lost. And
Imagine that.
but it's interesting that Neil Schon was brought up. And our backup one, if there was a commercial on for something like Waterbed World or QC Kinetics or Quadriceps Contusion, tight end Buffalo, was AC/DC. So we lost like both ways.
Wow.
So, fun, huh? When's this fun stop? We talked about that. Mark, I got nothing. Did you have something like detective shows or
Yes,
stuff like that you wanted to talk about?
last week Jim was
just so you know, I got nothing. So this should be
Jim
fun.
was bringing up. I don't even know how we got on it, but he started listing detective shows like from the Canon. I think you yelled out
last week. That was like several episodes ago, but either way,
recorded last week, right?
yeah.
That's when you started writing it down after the episode.
Oh, after the well, okay. If it's not live, man. If it's not in the can, I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You think I listened to you outside of this podcast? Are you shitting me?
No, we were sitting right here at the table. And
I know. No. It looks like I'm listening to you, but I'm like looking. I'm like talking.
You weren't.
I'm talking to my agent. I'm talking to my
Right, but-
representation.
I had nothing to do with me. You were talking to yourself about detective stuff. And I overheard you talking to yourself, and I wanted to be part of the conversation.
Are you sure we weren't listening to Elvis Costello and it was just like watching the
Watching it, which I said, I was singing that on the golf course.
See, keep up. Try to keep up more. Yeah, and the fact that you did so well on the golf course, maybe you should.
Okay. If we're going to start listening, Petrocelli,
Is that a?
detective show.
This is. I'm gonna.
Do you know the show?
Did I tell?
Who was the actor?
I feel like it's gonna
Vanishing
be like,
Point.
I feel like it's going to be like Robert Goulet or something.
Barry Newman.
Barry Newman, wasn't he like the cartoon writer, or is that Barry something? Who wrote like Spider-Man and shit?
I have no idea.
Fuck.
You nerd.
Really? Yeah, I figured you would be all over that kind of stuff.
Do you remember Vanishing Point?
Don't remember Vanishing Point, but it's weird that because we're going to start bringing up cop names, and I wanted to do a game where was it an old cop show or a modern day
Oh, that's right.
modern day men's toiletry brand. So here, I'll throw one out. Here, give me one more. It's got to be two names though. Give me a like a Starsky and Hutch. I'll use that as a. Everyone knows that's not a men's cologne line.
Simon and Simon.
Simon and Simon. That was brothers, two white brothers, meaning they were Caucasian brothers, not brothers.
So it wasn't toiletry, men's toiletry.
No. Rugged and Dapper.
It's got to be a cologne or some.
You got it. Well, I think everyone I'm going to name is going to be one of those. So, Rugged and Dapper was it's like a fucking aftershave thing I got. Yeah,
I don't need that kind of
Did you ever
stuff.
see American Psycho where he's got all that big skincare routine?
I've never
I
watched
got
it.
at least twice what he's had. You never watched American Psycho?
I haven't.
You know why? It's because Chubbly C, a former member of Oswald Torsion, told us it was a classic. It's a classic.
In my mind, it hits too close to home.
American Psycho? You look kind of like Christian Bale, so that could happen. Oh, Odyssey. Yeah, that is so worth the watch for the just oddball references, business card references, Huey Lewis in the News references, and it's good. It's that good. You have to watch it. I demand, nay, command you watch that. Can you give it a shot in your free time?
No, I'm very busy.
Okay.
Losing at the golf course.
What was the next thing? So you're up for a cop show or
Well, mine are all
cop shows? And mine are all
Jake and the Fat Man.
Robert Cannon. No, Robert. He played Cannon.
Right. You're right. Yes.
Oh, what's the first letter of his last name?
I can't remember. Webster.
No. That's a whole name. That's not a letter. It's not Robert Webster. But anyway, okay. I'll go with eucalyptus and birch.
Well, that's gotta be, yeah.
But that could be a cop show.
No. No.
I'll get a couple more. Head and Shoulders. That's actually a porno, but anyhow.
Let's see. McCormick.
Yeah, that's his last name.
No, that's a cop show.
No, but that's also that guy's Robert McCormick is the guy's name on Cannon. That's Cannon.
Maybe.
And Jake and the Fat Man. Do you not have access to the Google?
I do, but I have my notes on my phone also.
Oh my God.
Hardcastle and McCormick was the...
No, that's a restaurant. Or a spice company.
So we're both...
What the... Robert... Okay, hang on. Jake and the Fat Man. This is not that hard. The people who are... And by the way, I'm impressed that my phone hasn't... Jake and the Fat... There it is. Yeah, it got there. All right. You got a little dead space here.
Okay, yeah.
William Conrad.
William Conrad.
Was there also a Robert Conrad?
Knock this battery off.
Yes. I wonder if they're related.
Hey, do you ever watch what is that show that his first one?
Which guy?
Robert Conrad.
The fat guy?
No, Robert Conrad that knocked my thing off.
Who was the other guy? William Conrad?
No, Robert Conrad.
William Conrad was the fat man. That's
Right.
what they used to call people. Just so you know. Good thing they don't do that anymore. Otherwise, I'd be called Jim Conrad.
The Robert Conrad was the Wild Wild West show.
Is that the one where the intro was a guy shooting a gun at the camera?
And they had the old different like
This
cartoons in different sections of the TV.
super good for this format.
I'm throwing my hands up in the air
Mark
like
he's
I'm having
doing
a stroke.
some sort of a jazz dance. Wow, look at the time. This is crazy. So this is good though, except that it's not. So remember earlier when I said we talked about how on the Rockford Files I'm like, oh, I can only like name a couple of the characters on there, and I messed up and I said that Huggy Bear was on
Right.
the Rockford Files, and then I realized no, he was on Starsky and Hutch, and then I go, hey Mark, do you remember the actor that played Huggy Bear? And he said no, and I said it's Antonio Vargas.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said what was his name on the show. Huggy Bear was kind of a made-up name, his nickname. I thought you were asking what was his actual name.
No, I meant like when they did the show intro.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Like how you know that Colonel Klink's name was Werner Klemperer. How about that? How about
That
apples?
is-
You like apples? I'm not a fan. Too much pectin.
What the?
I think apples have pectin.
I think this is going off the rails.
Wow, like a crazy train. All right,
Ozzy.
So tell me some other cop shows that you like, because I know that you, I think, were. I'll tell you things that I've taken away from cop shows. I know that epilogue is something that happens at the very end of something because of what show?
Streets of San Francisco,
Correct.
which had big names. It had
Carl Malden.
and Michael Douglas for the first
Really?
couple years, and then they brought someone else in on the last 2 years.
Good to know. Michael Douglas was a sex addict. That's got to be the worst of the addictions, don't you think? Norm Macdonald used to say, yeah, I have a disease. It's alcoholism.
Send people to the site that they can see.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you got chopped. You have to excise that entire part. That's not good.
I will.
I'd love it if you did. I would owe you one if you did.
Well, we mentioned, this one I probably never even watched. Riptide.
If it was on after 1987, I didn't watch any primetime TV for about 10 years.
I think it was on before, right around 85. No, it might have been like 84, 83, 84.
Yeah, I didn't watch that either.
I didn't either.
Who was on Riptide?
I have no idea.
Oh, well, thanks for bringing that up.
So, well, it was just one that you would never know, but it
Like
lasted
Rockford, like Columbo. What about Beretta?
Beretta?
How badass is Beretta? What was his name? Robert Blake.
Oh, I'm thinking Beretta. You mean the actor's name?
What? His name wasn't Beretta? All right. Other great cop shows.
Kojak? Hawaii Five-0?
Jack London.
Yes.
Bookham Dano. Who was Dano? Dano's name. He was. Did he also not play Wojciechowski on Barney Miller?
No.
No?
No.
Totally different?
Yeah.
Okay. Magnum?
Magnum, I didn't watch much of Magnum.
Good show. TC. And then his other friend. TC had the cool car, I think. Oh, no. TC flew the helicopter. What am I talking about?
Yeah, Magnum, it was like, I didn't watch it, but he lived in some rich guy's house. It was weird.
It was.
It was like,
He was a PI.
he was a squatter, and he couldn't get rid of him. So,
Kind of like what you're doing in that place you live in now.
well, yeah.
I know you had to move out of that house, but I didn't know you set yourself up so good in that
Oh, I did it, Jim.
Yeah.
I apologize.
in that pilot's house who's never home, and you guys just fucking moved right in. That's pretty cool.
Well, I killed him and took his name.
Oh my! Did you wear his face too as a ruse when you go to the Hy-Vee? And Newt's. By the way, we go to Newt's tonight. It's packed. My wife actually went to Newt's earlier in the day because she didn't golf with us, but she had dinner on own. That's what we call it. Like, hey man, I got plans. It's on own at leisure, and she went to Newt's, and she pinged us when we were on the golf course. How'd that go, Mark? And she said Newt's is packed at 4:45. And then we got there at about 7, and it was packed at 7. Turns out there's a new grocery store called Lunds and Byerly's that's opened up like in an adjacent parking lot from Newt's. And they think that that's going to be the new trend.
Jim, it's not because of that. It's
you think it's because of the ascertainers?
ascertainers?
That's what I try to tell them. Either way, our sponsorship remains unaffected, so that's good. But I told them we're going to shop our love and try to get some free samples at the grocery store. No?
No.
Anyway, I mean, that's really what we're going to do. They're going to go, would you like a sample of crab rangoon? And I'll go like, oh, is this for the ascertainers? And I'll take it and I'll just say, we're now sponsored by Lunds and Byerly's.
So 2 episodes ago, I was struggling trying to get across my thought process on picking songs of famous artists. What you like, your top 3 songs.
Okay.
And Jim let me go on and dig my hole that I couldn't get across.
I never listened to that one song.
Well, we haven't had time because we're doing 2 in a row here. So, but then you saw me struggling, and you said, "Well, here, collect your thoughts. I'll tell a story." And I was thinking, okay, that's great. I'll collect my thoughts. But then you really told an interesting story, and I even forgot what I was supposed to be collecting my thoughts about because it was do you remember that?
I think that's got to be made up because you said I told an interesting story because that's pretty rare.
The hammer on the engine.
Oh, God, yeah. Well, it was about knowing your worth is what that was about.
Right, but you were doing it to help me collect my thoughts. But if you do an interesting thing like that, I'm not going to have time to collect my thoughts because I'm thinking I'm invested in your story.
I don't know how to help you there.
No, it was
I'll try to be less interesting. I mean, Mark, there's no switch.
It's not anything bad on you. I thought it was funny that
that's a mole on my back. It's not a switch to turn it on and turn it off when I can. When my stories become less interesting, I do have a knob, which is weird, which I'm not going to show you.
Well, I don't even want to go into that.
It's in the swimsuit area, but I can turn it down a little, but I can't turn it off. It's a rotary knob.
Okay, this is a podcast about music. Is there anything you want to cover about music? Because we've
talked
bounced
about,
around just about everything else.
We talked about how I didn't think that there's one thing we talked about a little bit on the golf course today, and I think that this is worth maybe just throwing out in the universe that, and this is not a political podcast, but if you think about how our Vice President Kamala Harris sometimes portrays herself, and then think about how Keith Richards talks too. So sometimes there's the sentence will kind of start, and then it'll kind of turn into a half laugh, half talk kind of a situation. I'm not going to weigh in on that beyond that, but I think Mark was like, oh my God, I think you're right. So give both those people a listen as homework for the next episode or whatever.
Oh, and my wife did show me a video that Keith tripped on stage just recently.
I saw that.
Oh, and to bring it up the Stones, they just dropped a new album this week.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Is it good?
And it was a song that I heard on the radio. They said, this is brand new, Angry. So I hit Shazam, and it was struggling. But it knew the song after quite a while. And I thought that was amazing that Shazam already knew the song that was just released by the Rolling Stones.
Dude, there's AI going on there, man. That's all that stuff. It's just.
Do they release it to Shazam beforehand?
No, Shazam will pick up on tones of voice and it.
Yeah, but
if a song's been released, period, it probably.
But it was released that day, is what I'm saying, and then Shazam had it. Do they release it early?
Call Shazam.
I thought that was impressive. Something that struck me as wild that Shazam already knew the song.
So that's more wild than the Stones released an album this week.
Well, yeah.
That's wild.
That is wild.
All right, man. Hey, I'm going to say this right now because Mark didn't want me to, but my kid who came up with the theme music, I have 2 kids that are about the same age as Mark's 2 kids, and my kid's like, hey, I'm going to do this grammatically and correctly. Oh, I'll do it like this. He said that one of Mark's kids and I should do a podcast while you 2 idiots are out golfing or going to Newt's, and it would be fun. And I'm like, hell yeah, that'd be fun. And Mark was like, I got to run up by. Mark's kids have a schedule or agents or something like that. But I think it would be hilarious to see either a combination of our 2 kids just putting on the headphones and shooting the shit for...
Which is fine. I don't want to speak for my son, is all I'm saying. Is that he hasn't been asked. You've already made the decision.
I didn't make a commitment. I said I think it would be cool.
And I said, that's fine. I said, but we need to run it past him first, is all I...
Hey, wow.
And Jim's going, no, he's on there. He's on there.
I didn't even say which kid. So obviously,
thank you for
we're
that.
not committing anybody. Fight.
The gloves are on the ground.
That's right. Okay, well, hey, 25 is a good run. Thanks for listening. And I don't know what, Mark, goodbye.
Yes. Thank you for listening. Bye.